When your child is born, you already know that you are going to say goodbye. You know as you hold her in your arms that she will not be a baby forever. You know as you bring her home that eventually she will have to make her own. You know as you make your first meal for her that someday you will make your final meal for her. For a lot of parents, their children will outlive them. For others, they will outlive their children. For me, I am a bit different. My daughter once played with me in the wilds behind the house I grew up in back when I was 6 years old. Growing up, I knew that every Saturnalia that this strange girl who never got older would visit us to celebrate. It wasn't until I was in my teens that I realized that she never aged. During my secondary school days, she would oftentimes bike home with me, listening to me rant about my teachers and the other students, always waiting for me just beyond the threshold of the school, because she could never go into Agamemnon's academy. When I ran away from the academy, she would be there, helping me find safe places to sleep until I could make my way home. For most of my life, I thought her name was a coincidence. Lots of people name their children after gods, saints, and angels. It usually doesn't mean anything more than the parents had high hopes for their children, or possibly that they wanted the name to inspire them to greatness. I thought that it was just the same for the strange girl. After all, what are the odds that the girl who used to play hopscotch with you was actually the same Adanse Allheart that everyone knew as the goddess of Lockhart? The same day that I learned that, I also learned that she was my daughter, or rather that she would be my daughter. That story, the story of the girl who grew up and decided to make the world fair, it wasn't just a story. It was history. So I did as all mortals do, and I grew up while my daughter remained, at least until she was born. When my mortal child Adanse was born, the goddess vanished. She couldn't exist in two places at the same time. As long as I kept my daughter, then madness would have no Marquess. For a year I kept Adanse until it was finally time to let her go. They found my safe house. I don't know how, but I could see the Vigiles Urbani blocking off the streets 4 blocks from my house. Officers in their navy blue uniforms and shiny black boots questioned my neighbors, flashing my picture for them, trying to see if any of them could remember anything about me. One after another, my neighbors offer nothing helpful. Some saw me weeks ago. A few saw me days ago, but none remember seeing me recently. A trick of mine that keeps me off the radar of secret police. At least, most of the time. One of the officers tried questioning me, asking me if I saw myself. Thankfully, the officer could not recognize me from my photo, even while showing the photo to me. Makeup, a haircut, and new glasses go a long way. I tell the officer that I am not sure if I saw them, but that I thought that I heard that they were visiting a relative in River City. The Vigiles eventually lets me go as he questions more of my neighbors, and I walk back to downtown. Knowing how it goes, the officers would question everyone. No one else would remember anything useful, so the one officer who heard that I was visiting someone in River City would suddenly become very useful. Then a second round of questioning of the officers would mean that the officers would remember hearing about other cities I might be visiting. I heard the journalist went to Terra Nova. Oh, actually, the one-armed man said that the journalist was heading to a trip to Jamaica. Wait, you mean National City? I heard Imperial City. anything to cause confusion. All of the officers know the bounty on my head, and their own greed would feed their imaginations more than any false leads I could give them. Still, though, that was my only safe house in town. The Vigiles would be guarding the bus depots, train stations, and airports right now. While I was confident in my makeup, I didn't want to take unnecessary risks. After guarding the exits, the next thing the Vigiles would do would be checking all the hotels and motels to see if anyone checked in today or tomorrow, processing through thousands of guests, trying to find anyone who could be me. Thankfully, finding a safe place for young Adonse and I to sleep for the night would be easy. I had friends who would let me sleep at their home for a night or two. The Blackwoods had an estate downtown that I could probably crash in. And if my allies couldn't host me, I had the skeleton key, which could get me into a college dorm or a royal's 8th home that was always well stocked but never visited. I was already playing through scenarios in my mind when I saw the white rabbit and my heart dropped. For a moment, it could have been any other rabbit. Only strange because it was in a city. But you learn to spot the esoteric when you've been doing what I've been doing for so long. The rabbit was more confident than any person on the street. Standing tall, with ears laid flat against his skull, like he knew that there were no threats around him. His wide blue eyes belying his relaxed pose with an eager madness that craves chaos more than any food. Oh, and the fact that the rabbit was larger than a golden retriever. "It's time," I said as the rabbit nodded, and I hugged Adonse close to me. At a year old, she has grown so much. Her eyes are so much like mine. Even though she takes more after her father in her looks, her eyes, her mind, and her heart take more after my own. I knew this day would come. Adonse told me many times before she was born I would have to let her go, and I would know it was the day when the white rabbit escorted us both to the rabbit hole. "It'll be okay, honey. We're just following the white rabbit," I told her as she smiled big. She knows the story of Wonderland. Of course she knows that story. I read it to her many times. The only story she knows more than that is the story of the girl who decided to make the world fair. I don't know how much of this she will remember, but I don't want to scare her. So I smile down at her as I carry her down the winding alleys that the white rabbit hopped down. Twists and turns take us farther and farther from the sounds of the city, but still keeps us so close as we pass by buildings that are boarded up, the buildings with doors to nowhere, the old graffiti that tells stories and spells older than the city itself, as the white rabbit disappears through a hole in the chain link fence, and I follow him. Inside is a little grassy area between 3 buildings, an oversight of yesteryear. It wasn't a park to allow a bit of greenery in the city. It was just a bit of space that was unused and undeveloped. It kept its grass that grew up to my knees. I could see wildflowers growing here, and hear the rustle of other small animals, those that are wise enough to fear both me and the white rabbit. In the center of the green patch is a tree, a singular oak tree. It isn't planted here by any human hands, a chance of the wild that simply grew in the middle of the city, hidden in a place that stayed unnoticed and undeveloped. A place where magic could grow in the modern world, hidden by chance and not choice. And it is here that I see the rabbit's hole. Beneath the roots of the tree is a long hole that goes deep into the earth's embrace. Close to the hole, I can smell petrichor and secrets. The rabbit stands next to the hole, turning his head to watch me. I hug Adonse close to my neck. Her little arms wrap around my neck and blink tears away from my eyes. I know that I could turn around and leave. I could leave with Adonse, leave the hole behind, pretend I never saw it, and let her grow up a normal girl with me, living a full life as a mortal child, a child who is always on the run with her mother, a child whose face, DNA, fingerprints, blood, and identity is always on file as a criminal, a child whose name would become synonymous with crime, who would have to grow up hearing how she is a great evil, how her mother is the most vile of villains to ever live. We would always be on the run, hiding from government after government, always dancing between the raindrops without getting wet. She would never go to school. She would never make friends who would last. She would never be able to have a relationship. She would never be able to enjoy the simple joy of going to a restaurant without fearing that she would be identified. She wouldn't be able to go anywhere without me. Her entire life, she would be dependent on me to protect her until I slipped up someday, either leaving her alone, getting us both captured, or worse, getting her captured. I look down at her before I set her down. She toddles over to the rabbit, eagerly petting the white rabbit's soft fur as the rabbit lays on his side, kicking out his legs to show that he is happy and safe. But I would still see her. If she went down that hole, I would never be able to follow her. I would never watch her grow up. She would not see me again. Not for a very long time. The goddess once told me that she had to live close to 75,000 years before she could even see me again. Literally every single year after year, each one a perpetual summer day until she could see me again. Time never drawing faster, always feeling every moment until she saw me again. Now a distance between us, her immortal and I mortal. Even if she spent every single day of my mortal life with me, it wouldn't be enough time. And that is before the time I spent with her as a mortal. Every day she is my mortal daughter is one less day of her as a goddess. Less time where she could appreciate being with me. The little girl in front of me, petting the rabbit, knows that her mom was always there for her. So to her, her mother will always be there for her. The goddess who cannot be here knows what it's like to be without her mother. My tears are full of confusion and paradox as I see young Adonse get curious about the rabbit hole. She gets closer and closer as she sees she can fit into the hole. She claps her hand in excitement when she sees it. At the far end, she can see a light that only she can see, a light that I could never see, even if I lived to be 100 years old. I know that I have a choice. The goddess was quite clear with that. I always had a choice. I could walk away. I could bring the child with me. I could tell her not to go down that hole. I could ask my allies for help. I have many powerful allies who would intervene if I ask them to. The only reason they don't is because I asked them to not intervene. The rabbit gets up and slides past Adonse, disappearing down the hole, his little legs kicking just in front of her as he vanishes into the hole. My daughter, the child, Adonse, turns to me, making sure I'm still here. I smile at her, tears in my eyes. She is confused, not sure if I am happy or sad. She wants to go after the white rabbit, but she wants her mom to tell her it's okay. Go play with the white rabbit. Mommy will be waiting here for you, I tell her as she crawls into the hole and into the dirt. For a few minutes, I can hear her crawling, laughing, and digging. She loves to play in the dirt, and she knows she can find the rabbit if she just follows the light. It's incredibly hard to sit there, doing nothing, choosing not to call after her, choosing not to chase her, choosing to not follow into the rabbit hole, choosing not to call out for help. After a few minutes that felt both too long and too short, I can hear her no longer. Behind me, I can feel a familiar warmth and a hand on my shoulder. I turn away from the person my daughter was and towards the person my daughter became. Adance Allheart, the goddess, wears her purple, red, and yellow stripes. Her hand keeps her warm eyes out of the sun. Her curly hair hides one eye, and for a rare moment, I don't see her smiling. Being the goddess of children usually meant she was smiling, but not all of childhood is smiling. Sometimes it meant growing up. Sometimes it meant inevitable changes, even if that wasn't one that was wanted. Even if the change is good, it wasn't easy. Not on her and not on me. Our hearts are the same in that way. I have given the world many gifts, I begin. Adance is about to speak, but I raise my hand and the goddess stops. Not out of fear, but out of respect for her mother. If I pause, I will not have the strength to tell her. So many things I wanted to tell you when you were still with me. My stories, my truths, my histories, my strength. I have given the world so much. I have given it a chance to become a world worthy of you. A world where your name means hero, protector, healer, a god. Where you aren't cursed by every petty dictator for being related to me. But the greatest gift I could ever give the world is you, my little Allheart. And the greatest gift I could ever give you is a world. I hope the world that you were given makes up for all the years without me, I tell her, tears in my eyes. The goddess embraces me. Her arms wrap around my neck as she whispers, every moment, every gift, every sacrifice, every loss, every gain, every victory, every defeat was all worth it. All of it. I would go through again just for this one moment here. Every time you chose to protect me, and every time I chose to come back for you. The goddess, my daughter, told me before she pulled back, her smile familiar, thousands of years wise, but even all of that time doesn't erase the fact that her smile is just the one I see in the mirror. It is early morning when I came to where the rabbit hole was. It was late evening when I finally have the strength to leave.